The World Health Organization (WHO) describes disabilities as a physical or mental condition that significantly limits a person's movement, senses, or activities. Disabilities can be either congenital or acquired and vary widely impact on an individual's life. Nigeria has over 35 million persons with physical, sensory, and intellectual disabilities. They are largely blind, deaf, persons with albinism, physically impaired, spinal cord injured, leprosy survivors, intellectual and developmental disabilities, and so on. You have very likely met or known a visually impaired or a deaf person, but have you met someone who is both deaf and blind? Usher syndrome is a rare genetic disease that affects both the hearing and the vision. Many children called deaf-blind have enough vision to be able to move about around their environment, recognize familiar people, see sign language at close distances, and perhaps read large prints themselves. As of 2022, the World Health Organization says there are 40,000 persons who are deaf and blind worldwide. Within an already marginalized group, persons with multiple disabilities have it tougher.
My name is Naomi. I'm a special teacher. I study special education hearing handicap from the University of Jos. Persons with deaf-blindness are those ones that have this Usher syndrome, whereby they have difficulty in hearing and at the same time they cannot see. And in that case, for someone that is deaf, you need to sign, use your hands gesture to make some signs to communicate with them. But when the person is deaf and also blind, that means it's difficult. So in that light, you need to involve tactile communication that has to do with feeling. You have to work with them closely, and then what they do is, as you sign, you need to give them a lot of concrete objects and sign, so they know that this is what it means. And then when you sign it, you hold their hands, you hold your hands as you sign for them to know what you're saying. And with that, if they can learn some signs, it's easier to get communication through them. But they have to put their hands on your own hands.
Deaf-blindness is a unique and complex disability that involves varying degrees of hearing and visual impairment. This dual sensory loss may restrict communication, mobility, and access to information, posing significant challenges in daily life. People with deaf-blindness may experience isolation and difficulties in participating in community activities, accessing education, and obtaining employment. In schools, teachers are unable to teach them, whether with sign language or with Braille, as they might not have learnt Braille before they lost their sight. In the community, people are unable to relate with them effectively, and in workplaces, it is a tough order to gain employment.
His full name is Paul Chukwu. He is in primary 5, and educationally he is not getting the best from school. Why? Because of his dual condition, that is deaf-blind. Learning in school for him is not that easy, because most of the teachers handling them do not know or are not trained on how to care educationally for one with dual disability. So what they do is that they just kind of put him at the back of the class. According to the parents, most time when assignment is given, he finds it difficult to do without the support of the mother. The teachers need to be trained on how to teach those with this type of condition. Use dramatization, body language to pass the information for him to at least understand the situation or what is going on.
What is your name?
My name is Tosi.
Tosi what?
Lionheart.
What class are you?
16.
What is the name of your school?
St. Joseph's.
Again?
St. Joseph's.
I can't you speak louder. What's the name of your school?
St. Joseph's Memorial School.
St. John Secondary School. Okay, do you like your school?
Yes.
Okay, where is your school located?
First Stack.
First Stack. Wow, that's good of you.
Is a deaf-blind person. The kind of blindness is residual vision. That is, when he's looking this way, he's using this type of face to see. So he doesn't have speech as well. He's a deaf person. That's why we say deaf-blind. His education has not been that easy actually because of his nature of his disability. Most of the teachers only focus on people that are deaf, people that are blind, but not neglected in.
Meanwhile, parents of children with deaf-blindness face a unique set of challenges that can impact their emotional, social, and financial well-being. These challenges stem from the need to provide specialized care, the scarcity of resources, and societal attitudes which drives stigmatization and discrimination.
I'm Mommy Chidera. I'm a widow. Chidera is the only child that I have. The dad left when he was 5 months. So in that 5 months, I'm the one nursing him to this age now. Chidera is now 20 years. The problem Chidera have, it wasn't like this when I get back to him. As time goes on, from one problem to another, where it started, I cannot even tell. Chidera cannot hear and he cannot talk. He can see small.
My name is Pastor Bade Oyelami. I'm father to Oluwatosin Oyelami. Well, my daughter was born with congenital cataract, and this was operated on December 28, 2009. Operation was successful, but no improvement. So I took her back to Eye Foundation, where they advised us to be using food supplement on drug on high, and we have spent so much money on that one. No improvement. She has gone through the primary school at a normal primary school, but I employed special teacher to be taking her in that primary school. From there, we now discover that if you do south, she will not hear, or you put your mouth towards. So we now took her to this hospital at their hospital, Odan, the one in Lagos. So from there they examined the ear, then we took out. They said that the right ear is all right, but the left ear is having a fault.
Elizabeth Chukwu, he cannot see very well and he cannot talk, cannot hear. I want him to know how to use hand to make sign language. He doesn't know it. I'm not sure they are teaching them then. I complain to the auntie and say, this boy cannot use hand, talk, only mouth and somehow, I don't know the way they are teaching them then. Yeah, I don't like the place that we are teaching them now.
Now, Lionheart Ability Foundation, which was set up by a man with deaf-blindness himself, Mr. Solomon Okelola, is bridging the gap by creating awareness and adequate support in Lagos and its environs. Lionheart Ability Foundation provides the support system for the parents to thrive and encourages them to enroll their children or wards in schools, reinforcing that they can live a meaningful life.
The name is Solomon Olakunle Okelola.
Why did you start LALIF?
I struggled through school until I graduated from the university. When I was in my third year in the university, I lost my residual vision. Before then, I was low vision and hard of hearing. So I lost my residual vision, and the discrimination and the stigma became more intense. It really got me wondering. The general public were just so ignorant about persons with disabilities. What do I want to do about that? That's what I started building what later became Lionheart Ability Leaders International Foundation. In Lionheart Ability Leaders International Foundation, in a nutshell, we work to educate, enlighten, and empower people for change and transformation. However, realizing the fact that most people with other disabilities were being represented in the disability community in Nigeria, but not seeing any mention of persons like myself who combine both vision and hearing impairment. That was why we decided to focus our first attention on citizens in the society with deaf-blindness who were being marginalized. Now, the first thing we did in 2019 was a public awareness rally here in Lagos State. The purpose of that rally was for for members of the general public to know that there was something called deaf-blindness.
So the first gathering we did, that was around February. So we gather all the parents, all their children that are living with deaf-blindness in Lagos State, to be precise. So we gather all of them to discuss, to let them know that their own child are not the only one living with that kind of disability. Because because we did a survey earlier, and during this survey, what we were able to gather was that they were isolated. Most of these individuals have never been to school, and those that went to school, that they were able to get a little knowledge about it, were neglected. It's either they put them at the back of the class, so they won't get whatever the teacher is talking about. So far, we gathered them, so the parents were able to know that their children are not the only one. We introduced one another. We let them know their locations, so that if any of them have issues, they can easily run to meet their colleague that are in the same cluster, to find some help or to ask about one or two things.
LALIF also builds the capacity and skills of teachers in inclusive schools, specifically to understand tactile sign language interpretations.
The next thing we did was to train education officers, that's teachers and parents of some of the individuals whom we have discovered, to train them on the means of communication with individuals with deaf-blindness, so they can learn to communicate with them, interact with them, and try to teach them the little they can do. They might not have the real knowledge and skills necessary for that. And we're also working toward training disability support agents to work in different public agencies to ensure access to patients with disabilities, not only patients with deaf-blindness.
Yeah, we thank God for LALIF at that time. It's like a time of awareness for those specialists that have not been involved. And then at this LALIF program, We had someone that came, I've forgotten his name now, and they make it in such a way that the sign language interpreters that were available, they were taking turns to interpret while he put his hands on them, and then they interpret so that he can follow the program. He's aware of the program so that whoever is not interpreting well, he can quickly raise an alarm.
From that training, I learned how to um, how to care for deaf blind children, which is by using tactile sign language. Then I also acquire knowledge from that training, which is how to how to be able to cater for all those children living with that disability. LALIF should continue with that training so that the teachers and training or guidance will be they will be able to learn more how to handle individual living with deaf blindness.
Well, LALIF has done a lot for persons with deaf blindness, with disability, especially with focus on those with deaf blindness. Well, LALIF has trained parents and teachers of persons with deaf blindness on how to support their wards and pupils or students, as the case may be, or on how to support them and how to make them to live an independent life. And presently, we are also currently on a program on training on life skills to preparing them to kind of own a particular vocation or work. The program is where I can work. That's where we are presently. We train persons with disability, including those with deaf blindness and their supporters, that is, their parents and their siblings, on how to live independent life and to be either gainfully employed or own a particular vocation.
The training for teachers by LALIF and the summit for families for persons with deaf blindness have been impactful as it has helped to provide support for families to interact and relate together. However, the training for teachers has not directly led to an increase in the enrollment of students with deaf blindness.
Teach them will be a little bit difficult because they will need an interpreter personally for themselves. They will have to lean on their hands to get whatever, and then with that kind of thing, it's going to be, we need a lot of concrete items to be able to teach them, and it's going to be like maybe one person to a student. The challenging thing here right now is to get those concrete objects to teach them, and then to get someone that is dedicated, that is patient enough to be able to impact them, because it might be difficult.
The parent and government are supposed to provide support and accommodation for those children so that they will be able to excel in non aspect of life.
Disability in general has ability in them, and then if anyone is disabled around us, we should not hide them. Let's just bring them out, and definitely we're going to get help.
Due to the non-availability of data of persons with deaf blindness in Nigeria, LALIF and her partners are unable to design appropriate mechanisms that can address the needs of persons with deaf blindness in Nigeria. Also, LALIF is just one organization catering for several persons with deaf blindness in Nigeria with limited funding and capacity.
So far on our record, we have 47 individuals with deaf blindness in Lagos State alone. Before now, there was no data available anywhere in the country about patients with deaf blindness. But now, as far as Lagos State is concerned, we can provide data regarding the presence of patients with deaf blindness in the Nigerian society. And before now, most of these families of individuals with deaf blindness only knew themselves individually and none other.
What are the challenges that you are encountering? in the course of your work?
Well, there are some challenges we face that we are trying to deal with as we go on with our work. Number one, we've only been able to focus on patients with deaf-blindness since we started. We haven't been able to venture into our other projects, but we are happy with that too, knowing that we are making a difference in the life of these individuals in the society. One of the major challenges we face is the issue of resources. Presently, we only know individuals with deaf-blindness in Lagos State, although we have had people calling us from several other states telling us of individuals with both vision and hearing impairment and asking where we will be coming to their state. For instance, we've had a list of 23 names from Adamawa State alone, but we have not been able to go that far because we have very limited financial resources. So we actually need a lot of financial resources to start a national survey of the incident of deaf-blindness to be able to find most of these individuals and bring them together in a body. And with regard to that, we also have limited hands, that is human resources. If we have to go on such a project, we need more people to work with, and more people also mean more resources. It is just a new work, just beginning in the nation, and so there is still so much more to do. And the readiness of the government officials to work with us on this issue is actually another challenge. However, we are grateful to the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities and the Lagos State Office for Disability Affairs. So far, they've been so supportive and they've given their word that they will work with us on this issue. So that's part of the challenge is facing us as we work toward our goal. We face those challenges with confidence that we will definitely find a way, and that before long, persons with deaf-blindness will be officially recognized as a cluster of their own all over Nigeria.
To make them independent, persons with deaf-blindness, parents and close relatives need to be involved and be able to bridge the communication gaps experienced by persons with deaf-blindness.